Good morning, February 29, 2016. This is CISG114, Section 1, Web Technology and 9. Today is day number 11 in the week number 6. So let's get started. First of all, good morning and welcome back to our class. Let me make sure that we got the selections on the screen first. Okay. Yes, here we go. And then make sure we got the sound. Okay. Good. Thank you. And if you look at the screen, of course, the first thing I want to remind you is the midterm course survey. Today is the last day to complete the midterm course survey. So may I invite you, after my introduction, use 5 minutes to complete the 5 questions there. So far, we have 15 students who got the midterm course survey done, and we have 21 students in this class, so 6 more students. If you have not done this, 5 minutes time to do it. And then this is week number 6. Okay, if you look at week number 6, the 2 topics are RSS, podcasting, social marketing, math shots, and virtual office applications. But remember, as of last week, we have actually not started helping you to discuss the 2 topics of last week. So we will come back first. Unfortunately, if you look at very closely, topic number 2 is exactly the topic we're going to talk about today too, and this week. So basically, we do overlapping of the studies. Now, this week, I've already given you a teacher's message, and I've sent this to you earlier this morning. Okay, and that is teacher's message for week number 6. Now, in teacher's message week number 6, I would like to make sure that you understand some of the specific expectations, meaning the skills you need to develop when you do the assignment. All right, so far, we have not decided yet because we have to wait for the completions of the midterm course survey today to tell you the result. What is the result? Do you prefer to combine 2 learning contracts, number 2 and number 3, into 1 learning contract? So that means instead of submitting something on March the 12th, you just have to submit something on April the 2nd, based on learning contract number 3's artifacts item. But you still have to go through the process of learning SRL, self-regulated learning. Okay? So it's very important that you understand the purpose behind assignment. Oh yes, we have already informed you last week that according to the school's calendar, starting from fall 2016, we're actually moving to completely outcome-based educations. That means instead of the traditional classroom style, you will experience a different kind of education model. Now, I would like to make sure that actually when you go through the GE course this semester, you are helping yourself transition from a taught-to-learn student to a learn-to-learn student. That it's already the steps you are taking to move yourself to the outcome-based education model. Well, allow me to remind you one more time, self-regulated learning is an important ingredient in the context of outcome-based education. Now, if you do not quite understand this, okay, let me bring you back, okay, to something that you might have not paid attention to ever since week 1 to week number 5. Allow me to use less than 5 minutes time to walk you through this, because based on some of the responses I collected from the midterm course survey, I noticed that I must remind you this. Okay, let's take a look at week number 1. You understand that in each week block in the Moodle environment, we have something like this, okay, and this is week number 1. And very clearly, you see that everything included within this block belongs to week number 1. And in particular, if we are going through a specific class on day 1, these are the material that you need to help yourself to understand by the end of the week, okay? But not all the items on every day of the semester, you need to finish reading all. That is very important. But for day number 1, that's very important because day number 1 helps you to understand how we put together your whole semester's learning in a structured manner. In a structured manner, that means you know that beside the Moodle environment, we still have a website called Course Home, which is a support website. It's very appropriate to talk about it now because it's a website which is basically a wiki. All right, we haven't talked about wiki. And then I use a wiki to construct this support website to you. Basically, is on what we call an informational website. You do not need to do anything there, but you just have to go to the page to get yourself informed. So in the website, we do have the calendar, okay? The calendar, when you check on the calendar, you discover that you were brought to this particular page. And on this particular page, you know that from day 1, we have 14 weeks in the semester, and you have to do submissions on this week, number 4. You have to do submission on this week, number 7. In other words, next week. And you have to do submission on this week, number 10. So the calendar tells you, I remember one student asked me, when are we going to have midterm? The calendar tells you that we're going to have midterm in week number 11 already. Okay? So if you have read those things, you should know what we're going to do. And then we divide the whole semester into 3 learning contracts. As you can see, week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4 is learning contract number 1. Week 5, 6, 7, learning contract number 2. Week 8, 9, 10, learning contract number 3. And then we enter the period called project. And the project means you have to create a student portfolio. So we have the learning portfolio here. Okay, for the remaining 3 weeks, and the very last week, week number 14 is what we call semester review, when you have to do the course evaluations, look back to what you've learned. So, in the semester, you are going to submit, if you do not change anything, 3 sets of learning artifacts for 3 learning contracts. Okay, except for the first learning contract, you have 4 weeks allocated, and actually you count the 2 weeks in Chinese New Year's holiday, you have 6 weeks to do it. But with the second learning contract, we have only 3 weeks, and immediately followed by the last learning contract, another 3 weeks. Now, last week, after I have read the responses, you fill up after learning contract number 1. I do discover that some of you feel a little bit heavy in terms of the workload, so I suggested, what about combining these 2 learning contracts together, so instead of returning the second set of learning artifacts in week number 7 next week, you are not going to do it next week, but you'll do it only in week number 10 by submitting only 1 set which belongs to learning contract number 3. Alright? So I have to check all of your responses based on your feedback in the midterm course survey before I will report back to you. And so far, 15 of you have already signed in and finished the survey, but 6 more has to do it. So I give you up to the end of the day to finish the survey. If you did not do it, I will just take it for that. And I'm going to inform you the result by tomorrow. So, but before that, you still have to understand that this is the design of the semester. Okay, and what do you need to prepare for those artifacts? So when you click into this link, you will be brought to a page. I'm sorry, this is not make open yet, but you will see it in this afternoon. Maybe I just, when I do an update this morning, I did not fix it. But it's okay. You understand this is the learning contract number 1. Alright? So in the learning contract number 1, we have 6 artifacts to do. The same for learning contract number 2, and the same for learning contract number 3. And I must answer one more question posed by one of your fellow students. In learning contract number 1, each one of you need to do 1 journal, which you select from 1 out of 9 topics in the first 4 reading lists. Good. And then you need to share your journal with your learning partner, collect the discussion detail, and submit the discussion detail as a second artifact. Good. Then you need to write a report based on your topic and combine your report with the report of your learning partner. She or he is going to use a different topic. Good. So in your report, you should contain 2 topics, one from you, one from the learning partner. Now, very good question. How many topics do we need to write in the second learning contracts report? Because in the second learning contract, you're going to work in team, which contain 2 pairs, right? And according to the practice of the first learning contract, if we have 4 persons in the team, does it mean our report contains 4 topics? One for each one of the 4 members in the team. That means 2 for each of the 2 pairs in the team. Now let me tell you this. The differences between the first learning contract and the second learning contract beside SRL and IBL is that in your pair, each team has 2 pairs, right? In your pair, which contain 2 members, in order to contribute to the report still contains 2 topics. 1 from each pair. Okay, you understand that? Still 2 topics. 1 from each pair. In other words, each of the 2 pairs in your team is going to contribute 1 topic. And use that topic to write a pair-based report by your pair in the team, which contains 2 pairs. Okay, then how are you going to choose that 1 topic from your pair? Because in your pair you have 2 persons, right? Then each one of you in your pair could have chosen 1 topic. So that is what you need to learn to negotiate with your pair member. Which of the 2 topics in your pair should go as the pair contributions to the team report? That is the differences between the first learning contract and the second learning contract. In the second learning contract, you definitely need to negotiate with your pair partner to contribute only 1 topic out of the 2 topics in your pair to the team report. Okay? Now, why do you need to do 2 topics as a pair? Because you have to write your personal journal. And remember, I told you already, each of the 4 members in the team must choose a different topic from any other member in the team. In other words, to start with, the second learning contract, you have 1 team which contains 2 pairs, and each pair contains 2 students, and each student in your pair or in your team has to submit the artifact individually. And one of the important artifacts is the journal. And how do you do your journal topic? You select 1 topic out of the 3 reading lists. Week number 5, week number 6, and week number 7. Remember that? And in your team, when you have 4 persons, all the 4 persons in your team must ensure that each one of you is going to select a different topic from any other member in your team. Okay? In other words, each one of you will have a different topic, and each pair of you in your team is going to contribute a different topic to the team report. Okay? And so you still have 2 topics in your team report. I hope I answered your questions correctly. Now, look at it differently. What does it mean? It means the amount of work in writing the report remains the same. It contains 2 topics. But the amount of human resources to write the report increased from 1 to 2 compared to the first learning contract. Because in the first learning contract, you have to contribute a single topic report to the team, to the pair report. But in the second learning contract, you and your learning partner will have to contribute a single topic report to your team report. Okay? So you understand the meaning of that. Now, other than that, when you have finished writing a report, you still have to write a blog. Okay? Naturally, when you write a blog, you should choose the blog topic as the topic of your pair's report. Okay? And so, what I'm interested to look at it, when I read your blog, and I'm going to complete your blog with your pair members' blog, so the same topic, I can see the differences between the 2 perspectives. of doing your pair. Okay? So that is the technically difference between the first learning contract and the second learning contract. And I call this, you start to learn to do pair work, because when you decide in your pair on what topic to contribute to a team report, you must engage yourself into negotiating with your pair member which topic to go, your topic or my topic, all right? So it's very interesting. So I need to apologize, I'm going to fix this name immediately after the class. Okay, so you know a little bit about that. So what are we going to talk more? Well, now you see that this is week number 1's material. Beside this, let me answer another question that I received from you after reading some of your midterm course survey. Some of you mentioned that we might not be able to transition easily from a taught-to-learn student to a learn-to-learn student. So if there is any extra help for us to do the transition so much better. And I very much agree with you, and that's the reason why I set up this learner's practice lane. In the first learning contract, the same for the second learning contract, and the same for the third learning contract. You must visit this learning practice lane, okay? Although we use the 2015 fall semester's material, it does not make a lot of the differences. So in this particular lane, you have to understand that we use this textbook as the basis to help you learn from the textbook. And this is chapter 1, 2, and 3, okay? 3 chapter and sequence. When you read those important notes that I provide here, you can see that I've given you the learning objectives that you need to get yourself engaged, just like in the textbook format. You need to understand how to describe Web 2.0 tools and features. And that is the first challenge. You need to understand how to protect your privacy and security, the minimum thing you can do. You need to understand something about copyright law. We talk about this in information literacy, about citations. You need to understand the possible consequences of copyright violations. If you steal someone else's work without citing for it, people can sue you. You need to know something about how to create a Google account. Most of you know. You need to create and share Google Calendar. Well, if you don't do it, it's already there in our Moodle environment. We have the calendar there. If you add something, you can see that. You need to understand web feeds, which is our assets of this week, and use an aggregator, something called aggregator, proven together. And you need to know how to explore Web 2.0 resources. And then, how are you going to do it? When you read the text chapter, together with this number of hints here, which I've already given you, you can walk through those steps and try this on your own with your home computer and keep track of the result of what you do. Okay? And when you have problem, raise your question in Dr. What's Q&A hotline so that I can come to your help. And the most important thing is, you can systematically learn some vocabulary and some very precious resources. This is the extra help normally a taught-to-learn student needs, okay? And at the end of that, you can see a lot of wonderful resources, okay? You need to go through that if you need help. Now, if you have not noticed that things like this are already there, I highly advise you that you visit them because you still have time. All right? Now, in the class, because we just have less than 75 minutes per class, and my challenge in the semester is to help you transition from being a taught-to-learn student to a learn-to-learn student, I will not repeat the traditional classroom stuff. And indeed, when the fall of this year comes, many of the courses, which is required by the university, we have to do something like this to help our students transition themselves. Okay? The resources are there. It's easy to use, but the only thing you need to do is your commitment to use your time to try them out. Okay? Together with the in-class discussions based on the Moodle environment, which is a very different things. So you become a much more mature and effective learner. Okay? You don't just rely on a teacher to give you a schedule. The purpose, okay, let's come back here. The purpose of all of these is this. You have to understand three important things to start with. Now you're taking a GE course. At the University of Cal, we have a set of GE programming and learning outcomes. That means at the end of doing all the GE courses, you should develop those abilities to do block 7 different things. You did it already in the learning contract number 1 questionnaire. And then you need to understand the course learning objective of this course, which from the teacher's perspective, okay, I expect to do the following for my students, okay? But, now that is a challenge. We have not officially implemented it yet, but you need to be aware of this. You need to be aware of this. Starting from for this semester, this is the set of course intended learning outcome. Okay? We are going to use the 6 course intended learning outcome to evaluate how successful you have been as a learner in this course. Normally, we don't do examinations in this course, but you must have done something in the course with evidence of your work left in the Moodle environment, so that at least 3 out of 6 course intended learning outcomes are backed up by the work you did to demonstrate you achieved it. Okay? So, in order to get an A, we have negotiated it, you must have between 5 and 6 outcomes achieved. In order to get a B, you must have between 3 and 4. In order to get a C, you must have a minimum of 3. Okay, something like this. So it's the responsibility of the student, after reading the expected intended learning outcome, design your path along the course to do your work, to demonstrate you can achieve those course intended learning outcome in order to get a grade. And when we do outcome-based education, we require students to do it. All right? It's not just an exam. So, in semi-learning contract, remember, my job is now you have to do the following. I say you need to submit a journal, you need to do discussion forum, you need to do a report, you need to do a blog, you need to provide a proposal, and you need to provide meeting minutes. What does or what do those artifacts mean? You are providing evidence that you have done something which could satisfy some of those goals. Okay? So these are an important way to prove that you learned something and you know how to do it. And these are more important than what we call end of semester exam. Normally, end of semester exam will only test on you on a summative basis at a specific point in time. But these, together with the artifact you produce, represents your formative assessment. So much better. So I think with that in mind, now when you think back to what is meant by a research assignment, you start with choosing a topic of interest. And under the topic of interest, you start to design your personalized questions. Now with this set of information, when you design your personalized question, you know that if I want to demonstrate this, what should my questions be like? If I want to demonstrate 3 of this, what should my questions out of the big questions be like? And then what should I include in my explorations of the questions? Particularly, you can read from my report, from my blog. And so now it makes a lot of sense to bring it back to the teacher's message of today. This is week number 6, okay? When you read the teacher's message of this week, I've given you some hints on what you can demonstrate. First of all, evaluations of evidence. How well does the student access the quality and reference of evidence? Suppose you want to say that, well, I wrote this report because I want to demonstrate to you, and also other people who read my report, that I can achieve 3 out of the 4 or 6 course intended learning outcomes. So the question is, how well does the student access the quality and reference of the evidence? Evidence means what you did, what you include, what topic you have chosen, what journal have you written in terms of OIA, so the people could read it. Oh, in terms of the references we selected, that's the student determine what information is or is not pertinent to the task at hand. Self-regulated learning requirements to set goals, to understand a timeline, to understand what we need to do, and then create an action plan. That's the student distinguish between rational claims and emotional ones, practical opinion. I didn't, you look at my report, but when we look at the report, we did not include relevant references. Okay? Can a student recognize the way in which the evidence might be limited or compromised? We invite you to think along with it. That's why we say in this course we learn together. Does the student spot deceptions and holes in arguments of others when you read someone else's work? It's web technology making my life better. Have you read that essay? What are the arguments behind it? What are the examples behind it? And the holes in the argument, has the student considered all sources of evidence? That is a tricky question. How do we define all? Well, in the context of your learning contract, remember that I say, well, please include 3 relevant references. So 3 is a key figure. It means all. Okay? So you have to look for things like this. Analysis and synthesis of evidence. How well does the student analyze separate things? Analyze means put things apart. Do you consider something from the separations of concern point of view? That means, let me consider that irrelevant of the weather outside. We have a warm room here, even though there's snow blizzing outside. Okay? Synthesis, put things together. Analyze, separate things apart. Synthesis, put things together. Does the student present his or her analysis of the data or information, or do they simply present it as it is? It's very easy for us to accept something at face value. If I told you that Macau is a wonderful place, it has all the good things in the world. Our GDP is #1 in the world. Everyone must be very rich in Macau. Does it mean that we do have any poor people? Everybody got a house? No. Okay. So you have to think not just according to informations. You have to think by making the best of what we call interpretations of the information. Well, does the student commit or fail to recognize logical flaws in an argument? All right? For example, does the student understand the distinction between correlations and causations? Because of A, I have B. Since there is a link between A and B, I got C. All right? So I teach so that I could earn a living in order to make a good life. Okay, do you understand what I'm trying to say? So in order to make a good life, I need to have a work. I need to have a job. My job is to do teaching. Okay? To do teaching is to help me to make a living. Now, can you put things in order? That means you have to make sure that you have reasoning, a line of reasoning. Does the student break down the evidence into its component parts? When you study something, when you try to explain something, do you provide a picture of how many pieces should there be before we come to some conclusions? For example, when I say, in this class, I will not do as many lectures as in the traditional classes. So what is the rationale behind this? Because this is a general education class. Okay? Break down the evidence. Because of these, I do that. Does the student draw connections between discrete sources of data and informations? Discrete means we can really separate them. Continuous means we can't really separate them. does the student deal with conflicting, inadequate, ambiguous informations? You say Macau is a very good place. It has the highest GDP of the world for some time. Why do you say we still have poor people in Macau? It does not make a lot of sense. Inadequate information to tell people. Okay? So drawing conclusions, how well does the student form conclusions from the analysis? So after we look at the facts that you gather, observations, after we look at the questions you present, what lessons can you learn from this? How well does the student form conclusions from the analysis? Because in this course, when you write something, particularly put in your report, you've gone through some thinking, you've gone through some discussions, you've gone through some data gathering through the information literacy process. Okay? Acknowledging alternative explanations will point how well the students consider other options and acknowledge that the answer is not the only perspective. That's why you need to do socializations of the knowledge. So here it's very important that you try to take this into account, okay, when you do your piece based on the topic you choose, right? So it's very important. Another thing, I just want to make sure that you know why we're doing this. In today's world, when we say we're switching from a traditional classroom to an outcome-based educational classroom, we're actually inviting students to do less of the memorizations of facts. Memorizations of facts is so much demonstrated in the traditional examinations where teacher asks a question and your job is to regurgitate the knowledge learned in class. So you memorize, you reproduce the knowledge, you believe you learned something. But in the real world, normally we don't need things like this, but we need a constructivist approach. Constructivist means you need to try to internalize something you learn, digest them, and use them in the process of creating your personal responses. Okay? So you know that this comes from you after you learn something. And in the context of education, this is called constructivist approach. Construct something. You have to make yourself construct something rather than remember what a teacher said. Okay? So today, this is very important. We can break down the constructivist approach into 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different perspectives, and which is very often you can match it with your journaling, your discussions, your report, your blog, your proposal, and your meeting minutes. First of all, we might encounter or be introduced to an idea or skill we do not know, or we know something about it. And so you need to be motivated to know more about this. And once you know more about this, in order to learn how to apply it, you need to try it out on your own. And after that, you do not know how well you do it, so you need to get feedback from someone else. Not only is the teacher giving you a score, but here you have a learning partner, your teammates. And then, once you got all of these, you need to put things together, reflect on this, and then adjust and try it again to do it much better. So, it's a constructivist approach. And of course, today is the day of the internet era. Allow me to tell you another important approach is already here, that is called a connectivist approach. Constructivist approach, together with the connectivist approach. What is meant by connectivist? Today, with your computer, with the internet, knowledge is really at your fingertip. You will not disagree with me. You can easily find a lot of things. You can connect yourself, connect the knowledge with the knowledge of the world, as long as you know where to find relevant knowledge. Now, with that in mind, once you got something new, you come back personally into this process, and then into the process of knowledge negotiations. It's a very important method to learn, rather than just come to the class and listen to the professors give you something. Our knowledge must be connected to, and that's the reason why we keep on doing our research, publish paper, go to conferences, we read a lot of journals. So this message tells you, if you know something about this, it's really an individual choice between choosing to learn it deeply or choosing to learn it only with a surface approach. Now, I do not mean to criticize many of us who have chosen the surface approach, because in the real world, we cannot make ourselves be interested in everything. And sometimes we deal with the situations by doing just enough. Now, I do not want to tell you anything more about this, except that I would invite you to go home, watch this movie. 10 minutes, 10 minutes, 10 minutes, okay? It's a movie about college students choosing different approach to accomplish their goals. And it's a movie which is built on a very important educational theory, which is contributed by the educator John Bick, a very famous education professor from Australia, and also served about 10 to 15 years in Hong Kong University. And then in recognition of his contributions, they produced this very interesting movie to help students understand what they are doing. In the movie, there are two personas. One is a man by the name Robert, another is a lady by the name Susan. Susan represents a type of student who is deeply motivated to learn everything by asking important questions. Robert is a very pragmatic student who knows that what he wants towards the end of the college education is a piece of paper, the credential. He needs to find a good job. And in the process of helping you to understand the attitude of different students today, they've given you a very interesting perspective of teaching and learning. Okay? They've also given you the perspective of what is meant by knowledge constructions on an individual basis. Your attitude you carry when you do an assignment. And finally, he actually suggests a method for the teacher to help the student to learn. And the interesting thing is the teacher must tell the student what is meant by a surface learner and what is meant by a deep learner, and let them choose. So I would highly motivate you to go home when you have time, spend just 30 minutes time to watch all of these 3 episodes. And maybe you can share something. Having said this, allow me to tell you one more thing. All right, this is the message for this week. That it's, remember, when you complete the student feedback questionnaire for learning contract number 1, we introduced to you some questions which tells you a little bit about blended learning. And what is meant by blended learning? All right, so let me see if I can come back here and day 1 to class. Oh, by the way, have you ever visited those links? This is what I expect you to do before class. This is what we might be doing during class. This is what I expect you to do after class, and what I expect you to do at the end of the week. Although I did not force you to read this, okay? But if you follow them, you will discover that you might have developed a habit of learning towards being a learn-to-learn student. So let's see if we got something here. Okay. Right. Okay, part 1. We need to make sure we have enough memory.
The words. They say can increase student engagement and achievement, and that it meets our students' needs and learning styles. But have you ever wondered, what is blended learning? This is blended learning in plain English, inspired by Common Craft. To make sense of blended learning, we must first get an idea of what blended learning is not. Let's look at the revolution of teaching.
That's good.
1801, invention of the blackboard. Read the passage I have written on the board and answer questions 1 through 5. 1960, invention of photocopiers. I run off some worksheets for you. Read the passage and answer questions 1 through 5. 1985, first computers hit schools. I've used a computer to create a worksheet. read the passage, and answer questions 1 through 5. Now we have even more access to technology from personal laptops, smartphones, and tablets in our hands and those of our students. The use of technology needs to be harnessed in a way that fosters the inquiry process for students and engages them in the learning process that prepares them for a future that isn't here yet. I've created a web quest. Turn on your computer and follow the prompts to find questions 1 through 5 and answer them. But wait, if we use technology like tools in the 1800s, has teaching even changed? Have we created conditions for success for our 21st century learners? No, this is not blended learning. This may be substitution of one tool for another. It might be a step in the direction towards blended learning, but it's not true blended learning. Blended learning is a mix of face-to-face teaching or traditional teaching with the use of 21st century tools in a digital environment. The digital environment allows students to process information more quickly, to have access to relevant materials immediately, while exploring and learning in a non-linear fashion. The digital environment is called a learning management system, known as an LMS. Learning management systems allow teachers to create virtual classroom space for students to join their learning together. It builds a community of learners. An example LMS is Desire to Learn, or D2L. D2L has the same features as a physical classroom without the walls and paper. An LMS functions as a classroom with lessons, discussions, Dropbox, grades, quizzes, portfolio, class calendar, locker, checklist, glossaries, and any Web 2.0 tool you can think of. Web 2.0 tools can enhance the learning management system by expanding the potential within the learning environment. It can allow a student to demonstrate their learning in an alternate form or medium. Examples of these tools might be Prezi, Blogster, SlideShare, Vuvox, GeoGebra, Lineaway, VoiceThread, Evernote and Dropbox, Scoopit, and a multitude of Google apps that can be used for just about anything. Think of all the technology our students have access to: personal laptops, tablets, smartphones, MP3 players, video recorders. As a teacher, how do we use these tools to our students' advantage? We use blended learning. We'll meet the students in an environment they're familiar with, help them develop proficiency with tools they may need in the future, and will support their inquiry process. Blended learning fosters creation, the highest order thinking skill on Bloom's taxonomy, and lends itself to differentiated instruction. Blended learning also strengthens connections with parents as it makes the classroom walls more transparent. Blended learning is awesome. I'm Jennifer Faulkner, and this has been Blended Learning in Plain English, inspired by Lee Lefevre and Common Craft.
Okay, instead of Design to Learn, we have Buddha involved here. You know, compared to Design to Learn, which is a very expensive proprietary system, Buddha is good enough. But of course, you know that I've already got some feedback. Buddha is not good enough in terms of structuring those resources. And I have created Design to Learn as a much, much better, good layout for it. But anyway, you cannot expect anything less than that. So I've already given you both the Buddha environment and the wiki space. All right. So now, if you have already tried some of this, you should know that by the end of the fourth week, okay, I just want to make sure that you do not miss anything. By the end of the fourth week, when you come to end the week activity, you see that we've already got those questions, inviting you to reflect on the week's questions together with reviewing something on this, and then we asked you to share your work in the peer discussion forum of that particular week with your learning partner, and of course submitting your work. All right. So basically, I've already provided those instructions to help you. If you feel at any time confused on what to do, systematic instructions on what you need to do at the end of the day, at the end of the class, and at the end of the week, and so that you need to be reminded that what to do. The same for week number 5 and week number 6. Okay, last week we started with those questions. All right. Now, if you're conscientious enough, you do not wait for me because you already got the questions there, and we've already given you a lot of resources to learn what that means, all right? So you need to select at least 2 items to watch content-related video, review at least 2 content-related items from week 5 to a Moodle block, and then review a course outline referred to this, and complete your note-taking for week number 1 here, week number 2 there, and then make sure that I hope by the end of the 10th week, you really got at least 10 specific topics there to get yourself ready for the portfolio. So allow me to invite you, of course, nothing is perfect. If you discover there's something I have not given you enough, send me a request to documents through the hotline. Now this is where we are today, week number 6. So let's take a look at what we are supposed to do. In week number 6, okay, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 questions to deal with in this week. And remember, your job is to select only 1 question, okay, per week to deal with. And then we have a number of sources, and again, we have kept the instructions per week, and again, very consistent. You can see that these are all the journals, and these are the public discussion forum. Here, for those of you who already done the sharing, you want to share with your learning partner, only it's here, and you need to submit the journals there, and you need to sign up there. So every week is something like that. It's very systematic. Yet, I must tell you that I'm so much encouraged by your signing up every week now. So we have speakers coming up here, 5 minutes. But I will be very much encouraged if you could sign up as a pair. So you can come here and share with your learning partner to the whole class, 1 and 2 of you have done. Now remember, when you have the microphone here, when you share something, try not to read from a piece of paper. You're here to practice telling people things, all right? And it's so much better if you can prepare a simple PowerPoint or flip over 1 or 2 resources and share your perspective. So allow me to come back now to week number 5, and I'm going to pass the time to the speaker today before I come back to the class, okay? So we do have some speakers signed up for today, at least 1. Easy. Are you ready? All right, so I'll give you 5 minutes time. All right, thank you. It's true, just put it here. Okay. It's like here. You do it right here. USB to the desktop, right? So you just next time it's much better for you to upload it already here to click on this. Okay. We have Ethan here, 5 minutes. So you have to come to normally we have my computer folder. Let's see this particular PC. Okay. This one, right? No, this is not like this. So let me see if we can get right. Where is it? Let's see. Allow me to advise on this because this PC is very used by a lot of people. So we have to screw it right here. This is one. Let's see, it's being protected. Okay. What's the name of your drive? Let's see, it's not being protected. Yes, that's right. Okay. me just talk about this. Okay, we'll check on the machines afterwards. Yes?
Hello everyone, today's what I'm sharing is about what is RSS. The reason why I choose this topic because in the 21st century we are very familiar with the blog, wiki, and the photo sharing. Because those things we always use in our mobile phone. But what is RSS? I mean, there are very few people who knows that RSS has three advantages. It allows you to easily stay informed by retrieving the latest content from the sites you are interested in, and you can save time by not needing to visit each site individually. And the last point is that you can ensure your privacy by not needing to join each site's email news and that's what I said.
Okay, I thank you, Ethan. In order to help reduce the possibility of getting back to questions like this, because I remember last semester when we plugged in the USB here, it's everything okay, but you see they removed the whole the machine case and instead we just put in this new box. So what we need to do is make sure the next time we install this in our discussion forum and make things simple. I thank you very much, Ethan, for this excellent courage to share with us the RSS, even without the use of the PowerPoint. Right? Okay, thank you very much. Now, Ethan, may I invite you to come back here? Okay, having this active on here. All right. So thank you very much. Yes, we need to give individuals to come to share. And remember, it's so much better if you can come to share with your peer, so that the two of you sharing or discussions could be very much meaningful to the whole class. Now, allow me to come back here on week number 1. Okay? On week number 1, remember, we have given you explaining what Web 2.0 is. Okay, somehow you remember, this is something very important. The differences between Web 1.0 and 2.0 is when we started the web in 1994, at that time the web was one-directional medium, it's informational only. When it comes to 2.04, it turns into something which supports interactive movement between the reader and the user. And the user could also produce content using very simple tools like an editor that you experience in Moodle. So at that time, we also introduced the ideas of services, okay, the software services. So here we go. Last week, we would like to make sure you understand the meaning of blogs. So if you have not already watched this, this is 2 minutes.
You've seen the word, you've seen the websites, and you may even have one. But have you ever wondered, what's the big deal about blogs? This is blogs in plain English. To make sense of blogs, you have to think about the news and who makes it. We'll look at news in the 20th century versus the 21st century to make our point. In the 20th century, the news was produced professionally. When news happened, reporters wrote the stories and a tiny group of people decided what appeared in a newspaper or broadcast. Professional news was mainstream, general, and limited. The 21st century marked the point where news became both professional and personal. A new kind of website called a weblog, or blog for short, came onto the scene that let anyone be a reporter and publisher, often for free. As blogs became popular, they created millions of news sources that gave everyone an audience for their own version of news. Of course, we're using the word news loosely, but really, isn't everything news to someone? With a blog, a business owner can share news about his business. A mother can share news about her family, or a sports star can share news with fans. These people are all bloggers. How did this happen? Well, blogs made sharing news on the web easy. Anyone with an idea can start a new blog with the click of a button and share news minutes later. Here's how blogs work. Blogs are websites that are organized by blog posts. These are individual news stories, like articles in the paper. Bloggers simply fill out a form like this one to post a news story. With the click of a button, the blog post appears at the top of the web page, just above yesterday's news. Over time, the blog becomes a collection of these posts, all archived for easy reference. Also, each blog post can become a discussion through comments left by readers. Blogs make the news a two-way street. But really, the fuss is not about how blogs work. It's about what people like you do with them that matters. Let's say you have a blog about green living and outdoor photography. It reflects your unique perspective. This helps you build relationships with your readers and other bloggers with similar interests. Speaking of relationships, bloggers often work together. In addition to comments, you'll read each other's posts, quote each other, and link your blogs together. This creates communities of bloggers that inspire and motivate each other. Whether it's their ease of use or the opportunities they offer, blogs have been adopted in a very big way. Since 2003, there have been over 70 million blogs created, each with its own version of news. So the big deal about blogs is that they gave people like you the power of the media and created a personal kind of news that appeals to a high number of small audiences. So, it's up to you. What will you do with this new power? There is likely a group of people out there who want to hear what you have to say. You can search for blogs using Google's blog search or Technorati. You can also start your own blog for free at blogger or wordpress.com. I'm Leo Fever, and this has been Blogs in Plain English.
You know the significance that you need to keep in mind about bloggers. It's a tool which gives you the ability to generate content online and publish it so that people can read your writing. And that is a very different thing from 1994, the 10 years following 1994. We just have to read someone else's material. And the companies, like the government, and these materials that we can read during that 10 years are mostly done by technical people. You prepare a lot of writing, the technical people you use different kinds of languages, one of these HTML, XHTML, to tie them up on a website, and this becomes a unidirectional medium for people to come to read them. And ever since 2000 and very much mature in 2004, we call it the second 10 years of the web, we have the blog. Many people have the wonderful tool to write online, means generate content online, and use the content to allow many people on the web to read them. And so, everyone to become a content generator, and particularly a reporter. Okay? So that is the blog idea. And what about the second one? I want you to make sure that the idea that we
These four friends are going on a camping trip. They need to bring the right supplies because they're backpacking. The group needs to plan and plan well, so coordination is key. They're all computer users, so they start planning with an email. It starts with one, but then becomes a barrage. Email is not good at coordinating and organizing a group's input. This is the old way. Boo! The important information is scattered across everyone's inbox. This isn't coordination. Let's start over. There is a better way. It requires you using a website called a wiki. Using a wiki, the group can coordinate their trip better. This is the new way. Yay! Most wikis work the same. They make it easy for everyone to change what appears on a web page with a click of a button. It's as easy as erasing a word and rewriting it. The buttons are really important. There are two that are essential. They are edit and save, and they are always used together. Let's see them in action. Here are our camping friends, and this is a wiki website. Like all wikis, it has an edit button. Clicking this button transforms the web page into a document. All you have to do is click it, and the web page becomes a document ready for editing. Editing the page means you can add or remove words or change how they look, just like writing a letter. Once you're finished editing, you click Save, and the document becomes a web page once again and is ready for the next person to edit it. Easy. Edit, write, and save. Using this process, a group can coordinate more easily. Let's apply this to our camping friends who need to bring the right supplies. Mary signs up for a wiki site and then sees the new site for the first time. She clicks the edit button to get started. She creates 2 lists for camping, what we have and what we need. Under we have, she lists the things she will bring, the cooler, stove, and flashlight. Under we need, she lists items that others need to bring, compass, lighter, water, and food. She finishes the process by clicking save, and the website now has lists for the camping trip. Now it's John's turn. John visits the wiki website, clicks edit, and the page becomes a document ready for him to make changes. John volunteers to bring food and water, so he moves those to the have column. He also realizes the group will need a knife and rope. Once he's finished, he clicks save, and the wiki is ready for the next person. Henry visits the wiki, clicks edit, and he can edit the page. He remembers they need a tent. Henry saves the page, and the wiki is ready for Frank. Frank edits the page and agrees to bring the remaining items, completing the process. Frank saves the page and realizes something awesome. The group has created the perfect camping list without email. Yay! But wait, one thing is missing. They need a location for the campsite. The wiki can help with this too, but another page is needed. John visits the wiki and clicks edit to edit the page. He types in the word locations and highlights it. He then clicks the link button. This changes the word locations into a link to a new page. John clicks save, and next, Frank visits the wiki and sees the list and the link to the new page. He clicks on the locations link and arrives at the new page. This new page enables the group to use the same edit, write, save process to coordinate locations. This process can be repeated over and over. These 3 buttons, edit, save, and link, make it possible to organize a great camping trip or create the world's biggest encyclopedia. You can sign up for your own wiki at these websites, PBWiki, WebPaint, or Wikispaces. I'm Leo Feeder, and this has been Wikis in Plain English on the Common Craft Show.
That's very important. To make it simple for you, in the context of our website, starting from week number 5, you can see that we've already created a facility for you to use the wiki the way that it's been explained to you in the video minutes ago. So let's say that we come to week number 5, and again in week number 6 the same link. Here in the week number 5 tools to track your learning, you see there is something called CISG114 section 1 pair online collaborations wiki for weeks 5 to 7. Now remember, a wiki is just like a website. But the difference between a wiki and a normal website is a wiki, it's an environment in which more than one student or one people can start working together. And it's a perfect medium for collaborations. What is meant by collaborations? One piece of work done by more than one person. So you can collaborate to do things, particularly in the context of wiki, write things together, draw things together, think together. So how are we going to get started? Okay, first of all, the 2 of you in your pair get already registered. So when I click on this wiki link, you can see that I will be brought to the Moodle's wiki page called Do You Want to Create a New Page? I say yes. Now remember, do not change anything of this. It's by default HTML. Do not come to any of this. Okay, unpredictable result because remember, the Moodle environment is free of charge, and our people from ICTO do not change anything, we use it. So we just appreciate that we can just simply use it by, okay, coming to this point, clicking this button, create the page. Now, when you click on this link, you will see the following. Each one of you will have probably 2 names. The first name is your name, okay? The second name is your pair's name. For me as a teacher, I can see all your names and all pair's name. Now remember, if you want the help of your pair partner to do the wiki together, you must select the pair name. Okay? If you ever select your personal name, your partner cannot reach what you write. So let's say we come to pair 01. Okay? I'm trying to help pair 01 to create a page. So I say create page. here we go, we got a page, create. So you see that I will be brought to an editor, just like the editor you've been using in your journal, in your writing. So here's an editor. So what we need to do is, for example, I need to know how many people are there on pair number 1. So I need some help. So I come back here and I go back to week number 3, okay, where I can find the pairing informations. Yes, here we go. And so pair number 1, I know that Teddy is a member of pair number 1. Okay, probably this is pair number 10, sorry. Pair number 1, then we go through this. Okay, here we go, we'll go down a little bit. Oh yes, Jennifer, you're a member of pair number 1. Okay, so I copy this, and I go back to this, and I just type, paste it here, okay? And then another member who's also pair number 1, and we go down here, and then it's Alex, okay? So Alex and Jennifer are members of pair number 1, so I also copy Alex informations. Here we go, I paste Alex informations here. So we want to have a shells with some walls there. So I just do a little bit of those, do the find effect, and say that, okay, so update, so here you go with this. And I do the same thing for Alex. Oh, yeah. So make sure that everything is okay. So right here. Here we go. Okay, so now I got something on the front page of Jennifer and Alex pair 1. So after that I say, remember, edit and save. So I say, after I save it, the page will appear like this. Okay? Now on the front page of CISG114, section 1, pair 01, I have 2 members. One is Jennifer, the other is Alex. Now remember, in that video to tell you, you can view the page. You want to do edit, you click on the edit button. Okay? So I want to do a little bit more. So I think what they would like to do is they want to talk about learning contract number 2. So and then setting goals, setting timeline, setting action plan. Okay, let's say, and then arranging meeting. Okay, let's say the 3 important things here. So the next thing what we need to do is go back and save. Remember, after you edit, you must save. So this time you can see that we have a page like this. Now, maybe something like this. So we say that, well, what about we set up a room to work things together? So here we go back and edit again. Okay? So we would like to set up a room to work things together for Alex and Jennifer. We call this working desk. Okay? So let's say working desk is an extra space, a link. So I would like to create a link. So I put working desk within 2 pairs of square bracket. Now remember this technique. If you put a name within 2 pairs of square bracket, you're making the intentions to create an extra page. Wikis contain many pages of web pages. So in this case, we save it first and see what the difference is. When we save this, we see that, oh, working desk turned into italics. And then it becomes red in color. That means it's a link that could be further refined into a page. How to do that? So suppose I'm Alex or I'm Jennifer, I would like to get into this and create a page. I just need to click on working desk. So you see that working desk become a new page. The name is working desk. It's a new page. Again, it's HTML format. So I say, oh yes, create this page. It's a page that is created under pair 01. So now This is the page. So suppose Alex had sent out this message after already visited it. So save it again. You see that within this page, this is the message. But the question is, how do we get back to the front page? So you come to the map. When you click on the map, it shows you that you now have two pages. That is the front page, and that is the working desk page. All right. So if you want this, so you copy the link address. Okay, you go back to edit. Here we go. I can say that return home. So the way to do it is very simple. This time you just do it normally. You click on this one, you go to the link, and you add the link address there. And because of this, you insert. You've already improved the return address, and when you save, click edit, save, and then you can see the difference. So here we go. When you click on this, you're brought back to the front page. Okay? So now, when you go to the working desk space, you have one way to go back. You see the meaning of that? The trick is put the name inside two set of square bracket and save. All right? I will tell you more about this on first day, but appreciate this is the beginning of your wiki journey. So now allow me to take attendance, and then I'll let you go. It's almost time. Okay? Now make sure you make the best use of the scheduling information and the learning information, the guidelines, the support given already to pick up what you're supposed to learn on each week. Okay? And by the way, make sure you complete the midterm course survey before the end of the day. Candy, are you here? Thank you. Neil, thank you. Annie, thank you. So, Zixin, thank you. Tom, thank you. Connie, not here yet today. Sean, not here yet. Okay, and Luna, thank you. Jerry, thank you. Tammy, thank you. Francis, thank you. Harden, not here today. Joanna, thank you. Peter, thank you. And then Romina, thank you. Jennifer, thank you. Sheena, thank you. Nari, thank you. Okay. Kathy, thank you. Alex, thank you. Eason, thank you very much. So we got almost all of you. Kindly be reminded, please complete the midterm course survey before 11:55 tonight, so that I can report back to you the result tomorrow. All right? I'm waiting for at least 80% to 90% to be completed. Now we have 15 students out of 21 recovered. All right? So thank you very much for coming back. That's it for today. Make sure you follow the schedule here to pick up the learning on week number 5 and 6. So here is day number 11, CISG114, section 1, Web Technology and Light. See you this Thursday.